The Odyssey ending explained and what the myth really says. Fair warning right up front. This video contains major spoilers for the film. If you haven't seen the Odyssey yet, you can stop here and come back later. I'll be waiting. But if you have seen it, and you walked out of that theater turning the final scene over in your mind, wondering what it truly meant, then you are in exactly the right place. Because the ending of the Odyssey is far, far deeper than it first appears. Beneath that final image lies a message 3,000 years old, one that most people walk right past. Let's uncover it together. We're going to unpack this ending in 3 distinct layers. First, what literally happened. Second, what it actually means beneath the surface. And third, the crucial difference between the film's ending and what Homer's original myth really says. That last layer is the piece almost everyone misses, and it changes everything. Let's start with the events themselves. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Let's recap what actually happens. Odysseus finally reaches his home island of Ithaca, but his kingdom is under siege from within. Dozens of arrogant suitors, all convinced he must be dead after 20 years, have moved into his palace. They're devouring his wealth and relentlessly pressuring his wife Penelope to give up and marry one of them. So Odysseus does what Odysseus always does. He hides his true identity, disguising himself as a lowly beggar to move through his own home unseen and unrecognized. Meanwhile, Penelope, running out of options, announces a contest. She will marry whichever man can string Odysseus's great bow and shoot an arrow cleanly through a row of 12 axe heads. One by one, the strongest suitors try. Not one of them can even bend the bow enough to string it. And then, the ragged beggar steps forward. He lifts the bow and strings it effortlessly, as if it were nothing, and in that single electric moment, everyone in the hall understands the truth. Odysseus has come home, and then he turns the bow on the suitors. But here's what most people don't realize. The story doesn't end with the suitors defeated. There's one more test to come, and it's the most important one of all. Penelope, remarkably, does not simply run into her husband's arms. After 20 years, after all the lies and disguises, she isn't certain this man is truly who he claims to be. So she sets a quiet test of her own, one only the real Odysseus could pass. She casually instructs a servant to move their marriage bed out of the bedroom into another room to make it up for the stranger. And Odysseus reacts with genuine outrage. Impossible. That bed cannot be moved. I built it myself, with my own hands, carved directly into the trunk of a living olive tree still rooted in the earth. No one could move it without cutting it down, and in that instant, Penelope breaks down in tears, because that was the secret. Only the real Odysseus, her true husband, could possibly have known it. The bed, built from a living tree with roots deep in the ground, is a perfect symbol, a marriage that cannot be uprooted, a loyalty that cannot be moved. And this is the true heart of the entire ending. The Odyssey, in the end, is not really a story about war, or monsters, or even adventure. It's a story about homecoming, and about identity, about who you are when everything else is stripped away. Think about it. For 20 long years, Odysseus was constantly changing shape. He lied, he disguised himself, he pretended to be other men, he became nobody to survive. He was, in a sense, no one and everyone. But that olive tree bed, rooted, immovable, alive, is the one thing in the whole story that never changes. And that's the message Homer buried at the very end. No matter how far the world throws you, no matter how many masks you have to wear to survive, the thing that makes you truly you, your home, your loved ones, your deepest roots, cannot be moved or taken. True heroism, the poem quietly argues, isn't slaying the monster or winning the war. It's remembering, after everything, exactly who you are. So how does Homer's original myth differ from what a film would show? Here's the fascinating and darker part. In Homer, the story keeps going even after the suitors are dead. Their families, fathers, brothers, sons of the slain men, rise up in grief and fury, demanding revenge for the slaughter. Ithaca stands on the very edge of a bloody civil war, one killing about to spiral into many. So what finally stops it? Not Odysseus, not wisdom or reconciliation. The goddess Athena descends and forcibly imposes peace, commanding both sides to stop and wiping the memory of vengeance from their minds. So the original ending isn't a clean, happy resolution at all. It's a fragile, unnatural, God-enforced truce. Peace dropped from above onto people who are ready to keep killing. The cycle of violence, Homer suggests, is so powerful that only a god's direct intervention can break it. That's a far darker and more honest finale than any simple happy ending. So how might a modern film handle all of this? A director has a choice. Preserve that unsettling, ambiguous ending, or smooth it into something cleaner and more satisfying. And a filmmaker like Nolan will almost certainly choose to keep the discomfort, to hold on to the price of victory, the terrible weight of all that blood, rather than wash it away. Because the real question haunting the entire ending is this: is the man who finally returns home after 20 years of war and loss and killing still the same man who left all those years ago? Or has the brutal journey changed him so completely that he can never truly go back to who he was? Penelope recognized the bed, but did she recognize the man? The true final meaning of the story lives inside that unanswered question, and a great adaptation will let you sit in the discomfort of it rather than resolving it for you. So in the end, the ending of the Odyssey isn't really a conclusion at all. It's a question, left deliberately and beautifully open. After you finally come home, after everything, are you still the person who belongs there? Odysseus defeated the monsters, outwitted the gods, and survived 20 impossible years of war and loss, but his hardest test of all came at the very end, and it wasn't a battle or a monster or a trick. It was simply becoming himself again, and knowing whether he still could. So what do you think? Did the long journey ultimately change him beyond recognition? Or is he still, deep down where it counts, the same man who once sailed away from Ithaca? Tell me honestly in the comments. There's no single right answer, and that's the point. And the video on the dark, hidden truth about Penelope, who may be the story's real survivor, is right there on screen. Don't miss it. Subscribe